Okay, so yes, I was able to see Bad Samaritan and not the remake of Overboard because, well, I just looked at it and I realized I was going to spend most of that review just saying, why on earth do we need a gender-swapped remake of Overboard? Yeah, um, I thought this one looked a little more intriguing. I knew it was going to be a smaller film. I mean, I figured most people are still probably going to wind up going to Avengers Infinity War this weekend anyway. But who knows, maybe I could turn someone on to something. Did not realize that Bad Samaritan was going to be a Dean Devlin movie. For maybe those of you who don't recall, Dean Devlin is a producer slash director. He's most known for his work with Roland Emmerich, namely Stargate, Independence Day, Godzilla, and I want to say The Patriot, and maybe The Day After Tomorrow. I know they split apart at some point. Devlin then set out and made the movie Geostorm, which was made in like 2013 or 14 or something, and then didn't come out until just last year, which was not a good sign. Yeah. Anyway, the movie itself is it's a thriller. If you for those of you who maybe don't entirely recall, basically there's a guy. I did. Oh, before we get into the film proper, I'll make a couple of other notes. I was only one of three people in the theater for this screening. In fact, up until about 3 minutes before showtime, I was the only person in the theater. And I was sitting there dreading, saying, oh God, they're going to cancel this screening, and I'm going to have nothing to do because the Overboard screening that I probably would have been allowed free admittance to would have started about 20 minutes and been running for about 20 minutes at that point. But no, it went off without a hitch. There's a character, I wrote down the wrong name. I thought the character's name was John. It turns out to be Sean. He's an Irish immigrant who lives in America. He's an amateur photographer. He and a buddy named Derek run a valet service that's in actually front for basically a fencing operation. They sell stolen merchandise. They use the people who use the valet at this restaurant to take their cars back to to those people's houses. They break in, they steal and that's how they use the car essentially to effectively break in. Anyway, on one occasion, a man named who goes by the name of Cale Ehrendyke, played by David Tennant, shows up driving a Maserati. Sean, like I said, I thought the character's name was John. So I guess all of my notes say John right up until like the last third of the movie, and I realized, oh, his name was Sean. Yeah, good job on that. Sean basically goes back to Cale's apartment. He finds a newly received black credit card in the mail, the high-end credit card. He sets about trying to deactivate the card. He tries to find some additional merchandise in there. And as he's doing so, he discovers a woman bound and gagged and beaten. It turns out, and the full thing is not revealed until much later in the movie, Cale's real last name is Falkenberg. I don't think I ever got his first name, but Cale Ehrendyke basically is a serial abductor and killer. He abducts women who are basically trust fund babies, women of high financial stature. He beats them. He tries to condition them to obey him because when he was a kid, he fell in love with a horse trainer that was employed by his family. He tried to impress her by breaking in a colt. It failed. He actually wound up beating the colt half to death and then shooting it. And then he killed the horse trainer when she tried to rat him out. And since then, he now, instead of trying to break in horses, he tries to break in people. And like I said, that's not revealed until much, much, much later in the film. But yeah, I feel like we should probably just address that right now. Sean tries to free this woman. He's unable to because it turns out there's camera sensors all over the place. at that point, also, Kale shows up to pick his car up, so he has to try to get back in time. Kale eventually pieces together what happened because the activation phone number for the credit card is discovered on his phone, his house phone, his landline that he still had for some reason. And basically, Kale then sets about trying to destroy Sean's life. Sean tries to go to the police. Kale is able to easily scuttle them. Sean goes to the FBI. Kale actually has a homing beacon placed on Sean's car, so he's able to track him. At one point, Kale manages to make his way into Sean's apartment, finds pictures of Sean's girlfriend named Riley. She's not entirely... She's marketed early on as being really important in this film. She's really not. She's in one bit, and then she just disappears for 20 minutes. But the one bit at the opening, he took some pictures of her, including one of her exposing her breast. Obviously, Kale gets his hands on that picture and starts spreading it around. It basically looks like he broke up. Sean broke up with Riley, and he then spoofs Sean's phone number to lure Riley into a trap. He beats her up and throws her over a ledge. She does not die, even though as she lands, her neck is completely displaced. Yeah, she should have been killed. But no, he also sets about ruining the life of Sean's family. His mother and stepfather both wind up losing their jobs. And Derek and Sean lose their valet service, which is probably a good thing because they were not using it as an actual valet service. But anyway, like I said, it turns out I would say cat and mouse, but cat and mouse, the roles switch at some point, and it doesn't really happen here. Sean does go to the FBI, and they begin to piece together that he's actually sort of telling the truth. And as this is happening, Sean pieces together that Kale has this hidden cabin in another part of Oregon. The film takes place in Portland. And he goes out there, and like I said, at this point, Kale has taken the girl whose name completely escapes me at the moment, out to this cabin, and like I said, he basically trains her like a slave. He locks her up in a cage. He puts a shock collar that is voice activated on her, so that if she screams, it'll shock her. If she drops a spoon or spills something, he gets very angry and sort of beats her. Because again, he's trying to break her in like you would break in a horse. Sean, again, tries to rescue the girl. A big fight breaks out. Sean gets knocked out again. Kale reveals that he's going to kill both of them and bury them in a pit of lye. And it's at this point he shoots the girl, who falls into the pit, but he doesn't actually kill her. She comes to, it turns out the bullet grazed her head, and she and Sean eventually work to knock David unconscious, and then they tie him up in the cage as the FBI arrives, and that's how the film ends. Yeah, I know I kind of went over the whole movie there, but trust me, I saved you a bit on this. The idea is pretty sound. This film drags way too much. This thing is almost 2 hours long. It really only needed to be about 90 minutes. Just boring at times. Like I said, it's supposed to be cat and mouse, except again, the problem with cat and mouse is sometimes the roles change. In this case, Kale Ehrenreich is just the cat the whole time, playing with Sean and playing with Sean and playing with Sean. And in terms of all of this, performance-wise, David Tennant is okay, though he still can't do an American accent. He's not, Rex is not your lawyer bad, but there's times he tries to talk with just a normal, everyday accent. He tries to do a southern accent, because that's supposed to be like his real voice. And both cases, it really does not work. The guy who plays Sean, I can't remember his name, he's okay. like I said, it could be better. I mean, there's some interesting points. There's one point I didn't mention earlier. Cale goes after Derek, kills him, but in the midst of this, Derek was talking to Sean at the time, inadvertently turned on his video chat, and it turns out that Sean is able to use that to get a picture of Cale. So he's able to send that to the FBI and hopefully get, again, where they can start figuring out that this is probably the guy that they're looking for, because he's had a modus operandi in other states. But that's kind of the lone interesting thing. I think the FBI would have been much more interesting had they been featured more in this movie too. Again, the girlfriend probably would have been a bit more interesting if she were featured more. Like I said, she's in the movie and then she just disappears for half an hour. And then she comes back and then she's beaten up and tossed to the hospital, and then she disappears again, never to be mentioned again. The family, Sean's family, disappears again. They don't play exactly. It's like, if you're going to do that, have them mean something a bit more. This could have been so much better, and it just really wasn't. Yeah, so basically I'm going to wind up giving Bad Samaritan... I guess I got to go with an F on this one. I could have maybe gone up to a D, but again, the more I think about it, the more and more I dislike this film. So, yeah, F.
Are you overworked, stressed out, at the end of your rope?
Relax.
Do you suffer from chronic irritation?
Do me a favor. Scratch my hump.
You could be the victim of lousy television.
Get that camera out of my face.
Now, there's a remedy.
This is the next big breakthrough in home entertainment.
Take Doogie Howser MD 5 times a week.
Well, there's your answer.
It's the cure for common TV. Weeknights at 5:30 on Fox 29 WFTC.
Okay, trailer time, and we did at least get mostly new trailers in this. Anyway, the first trailer is a retread trailer. It's Upgrade, which is the one about the guy who gets the nervous system implants and tries to hunt down his wife's killer. After that, we have Life of the Party, which is the Melissa McCarthy comedy that's going to be the next movie I review. Just because I'm fairly certain that's the only one coming here, because the next one is Breaking In, basically a home invasion movie with Gabrielle Union. I think it's a Tyler Perry movie. I want to say it is. It's from the person who did No Good Deed, the Idris Elba home break-in movie. Yeah, this person does not have a great track record. It's coming out next week, but again, I don't know if it's necessarily coming to Bismarck or not, although it is a pretty slow week next week as well. After that, we have Action Point again. That's the comedy from Johnny Knoxville about the amusement park. We then have Hereditary again, which is the movie about the ghost of the grandmother that possesses an entire family and makes them slam their heads against desks. I guess it's been getting some good reviews. Don't really know, but I think it's coming up the same week as Ocean's 8, which, unless I get a Patreon request for it, I'm probably going to wind up seeing Ocean's 8 instead. And then rounding things off, we have Sicario 2 again. Or no, I guess we haven't had Sicario 2 before. That's actually a new trailer. Silly me. I forgot what the subtitling for Sicario 2 is. Anyway, like I said, next one's going to be, next movie review will be Life of the Party, which is the Melissa McCarthy Goes to College. I'll cover that movie more with that review, obviously. Next video is going to be the Backlash recap and review. It'll be up Monday no matter what. Then, like I said, the next movie review, and then we'll have the random trade review on Trish Out of Water. See you all next time.
Hey guys, is there a movie you want me to tackle? Even if it's some stinker like Baywatch or the Emoji Movie or something else? Check out my Patreon at Sleepy Time for Cat Productions. See how you can make that happen.